Hello and welcome to the first part of our video on how to paint a miniature tank. So we're going to talk about base coating in the first part of this miniature tank video. And the first step to base coating is oftentimes applying a spray paint can of the base color of the tank. Now, since the tank miniature we're going to be using is an American tank, the M3 Stuart, we are going to be using an olive drab spray paint. Now, one of the key things with spray paint is that you need to take into account that there are going to be noxious fumes. So one of the ways to get rid of the noxious fumes is to do this in a well-ventilated area like outdoors or near an open window. Additionally, you're going to want to have a spray painting booth so that you can control where the spray paint is going. As you can see, it's pretty easy to make it out of just a cardboard box. So without further ado, we're going to spray paint this tank. So after you finish with the spray painting for the base coat, there are going to be some other colors you're going to apply because not everything's going to be olive drab in the base coat. These are going to include Vallejo brown violet to touch up parts of the area you might have missed in spray painting, same color as the olive drab. Vallejo gunmetal gray for tool heads and tracks. Vallejo green gray for the strap of the goggles around the head. Colors of War GI green for the uniforms of the troops and the crew members who are out of the vehicle. Colors of War Battlefield brown for the faces at this point. Colors of War black for the base of the tracks and tools. And then Apple Barrel English Navy for the goggles themselves and the headlamps. Alright, so now that we've applied the base coat to the model, we're going to start talking about washes. Now, before we go into the wash, this is going to be the final result of the base coat. So this is what we're working with after the base coat. And now we're going to go into the wash. Now, wash is generally a darker paint color that's thinned down with water, so that you can have it pool in recesses and other low-lying points in the model to give the model more depth. Because, as you can see with the base coat, it is kind of flat. So, we're going to use a wash. This is the wash we're going to use. It's a Bradley shade by Battlefront. And the thing with the wash is you're just going to spread this over the entire model. You're not going to want to leave out any part of the model, so just going to spread it all over. And of course, you will be darkening parts here that you won't want to keep darkened, but that's going to be a process for later when we touch it up after the wash. Right now, you're just going to want to wash everything on the tank, in this case, with the exception of the faces of the crew members. So yeah, that's washing. Also, after the wash, which the end result would be like this, as you can see it's much darker, you're going to apply the first set of highlights. Now, highlights are there to create a contrast between the darker areas, which you've done with the wash, and the rest of the vehicle. So with the highlights, you don't want everything to be dark. So with these highlights, you're going to apply some more bright colors. And some of these colors will be the same colors that you used before the wash. Some of them will be a bit different. So for example, with the faces, we're going to add a brighter color, which is Vallejo medium flesh tone. And we're also going to, for the head, the lights and the goggles, we're going to mix some white with that English Navy color from before. But the colors that are going to stay the same are going to be stuff like GI green for the uniforms again, and brown violet to touch up the pieces of the hull that you didn't want being changed, and green gray for that strap for the goggles, which is also not going to be changed. So after you've applied the highlights, this is going to be the finished product you'll want to get, and as you can see, I have applied some special highlights like a name, but this is the general product you're going to get. Now you're going to start in the weathering process. This is how you make it look like the vehicle has been lived in, used. So for this one, I'm going to do some built up dirt accumulation, and first part of that, dirt and mud, is we're going to use some spackling paste and use it to create clumps of dirt. Now when you're doing this, you're going to want to use some sort of tool to scoop it out, and you're also going to want to make it look realistic. So if a vehicle is going to be driving forward a lot, you're going to want to put spackling paste around the rear. So more up here at the rear than in the front, as the mud would be tracked backwards. So after the mud and after the spackling paste, you're going to start painting it with a brownish color to represent to actually make the dirt look the color it's supposed to be. So after you finish the weathering, your end product is going to look something like this. And so now there's only about one more optional step you can do, and that's decals. So this is a set of water slide decals, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut some out with some scissors, and then we're going to put them in a water bath. Now after they've sat in the water bath and they've been separated from their backing, you're going to apply them to the part of the tank that you want, and then that's going to be you're just going to let them dry. And with that will be the end of this video. Congratulations.